I'm Ron Patterson with Utah State University Extension in Carbon County. Fresh carrots from our garden are a great treat, but they pose some challenges for us when we try to grow them in our high desert country, especially with the types of soils that we have here. Carrots prefer a sandy soil, but we don't have much sandy soil in our high desert country here in Utah, so we have to do some tricks to kind of help out. The problem is that when you water this heavier clay soil and then you get the spring winds come along there, it forms a crust on top of the soil, and it's hard for those small carrot seedlings to pop up through that crust. You have to plant carrots from seeds. They just don't transplant because of the taproot system that they have. You can't buy them at a nursery. You have to get the seed and plant them in your garden. Another thing that's kind of nice about carrots is they're a plant that you can grow in a wide row system. You don't have to plant them in a narrow row. You can grow them in a fairly wide row system, and that also makes them so that you can use some good space in your garden as well. So here's some tricks that I use to get my carrots to pop up and to have a good carrot crop as we go along. You really don't need a whole lot to get this system to work. A rake and a piece of carpet. You can use a piece of plywood also if you want to, but what the carpet does is it helps to keep that top soil from drying off and forming the crust. So I use that. I can water on top of the carpet, and we don't get the crust forming like we would if we were just to plant them out and then water on top of the seed. Alright, so what you need to do as you prepare it, you don't want your seeds to be planted very deeply. The rule of thumb is that you don't have your seeds any deeper than 4 times the diameter of the seed, and even less if you can. So what I do is I pull a little bit of soil away. I know how big my piece of carpet is. I make a pretty good little bed right there with the back of the rake. The soil's been worked up, it's good and loose. So now I'm just ready to get my bed smoothed out. Now, it's been a very dry spring, so I'm going to have to water this soil so that I've got some water and good soil contact. I'll plant my seed, and then I'll cover it with the light covering the soil. With the carrot seeds, you don't want to have more than 1/4 inch of soil on top of those seeds. That's mostly just so that it's got enough energy to pop that seedling up through the soil, and then it can go. So I'll get my water going, and we'll get this wet down real good. Then we'll go to planting the seed. Alright, so we'll just hose down the bed and let that water soak in. Alright, so now I'm going to spread these seeds out. This is a little bit old seed, so I'm going to seed it fairly heavy. So I'm going to just spread this seed out over my plot here. Like I said, it's a couple years old, so we'll make sure we get some germination. I've stored it fairly well, but just to make sure we get some decent germination, so get my seed spread out there. If it comes up really heavy, that's fine. We'll just thin it out and have it with some new peas and carrots and potatoes or something like that to make it go. You don't want to put a whole lot of soil on top, just kind of a fairly thin layer so that those new seeds can pop up through. Now we'll get our carpet piece. Put the knapsack up, that way the water doesn't run off, it'll soak on it to a little bit better. Then on a regular basis, it takes carrots 14 days approximately to germinate, so we need to watch it. For a couple weeks we'll come and wet this carpet down to keep it a little bit moist and humid underneath there. That'll soak through onto the ground a little bit. We won't form the crust nearly so much. We'll do this One of the last preparation things that I will do is to put some boards down. Because of our spring winds around here in Carbon County, we get some sustained 50-60 mile an hour winds, so I put those down just to kind of help that carpet not flop up and catch in the wind so bad. That'll keep it in place for us. Once a day we'll come out and make sure everything's going good. After about a week and a half, I'll start checking underneath the carpet, and at 14 days or somewhere around there we should have seedlings popping up, at which time then we want to take the carpet off. In the evening I take the carpet off, the seedlings will be popping up. They'll be pretty yellow at that point because it won't be getting any sunlight. So if I take it off in the evening, that gives it a little bit of time to acclimate to the outside environment, and when the sun comes up in the morning it'll start photosynthesizing in those cotyledons. So that's what I'll do. I won't bother this patch a whole heck of a lot, just kind of keep it wet, and then we'll see how we get with our carrots this spring. Should have a great crop, and there's another way to play in your garden.